It really is hard to overstate the legacy that he leaves and all the accomplishments that Pele had. Three-time FIFA World Cup champion, as you just heard, and can see here, six-time Brazilian Serie A champion, two-time Copa Libertadores champion, tied first with Neymar as Brazil's all-time leading scorer, male scorer, that is 77 goals. And then when it comes to those 1,281 goals, obviously some of those in unofficial matches, voted FIFA Player of the 20th century. Pele is a legend in the lifetime of generations gone by, and no doubt generations that will come as well. Such is his legacy. Many tributes have poured in today on Twitter and across social media. Kylian Mbappe saying the king of football has left us, but his legacy will never be forgotten. R.I.P. King. And he's just one of many who has put their tributes up on social media. Shaka, we're just going to welcome in some of our other pundits tonight. We have with us Frank Lampards, Casey Keller, and also Stuart Robson. But let me start with you, Shaka. What was your reaction when you heard the news today?
Heartbreaking. It'd been coming for some time. There'd been rumours about his health and his passing even during the World Cup. So you knew the end was nigh, and you knew that the game would have to deal with the passing of who I consider to be its first global icon. And while we look at the game today and its reach and the power of the players, Pele set that bar some 60 years ago. Pele set the bar that many are continuing to aspire to in a time and in a way that he didn't have the kind of exposure or the reach that modern day players are. I think the game is better for him. It's better for his abilities on the field. It's better for all that he represented off it. He set the standard not just as a football player, but how this game impacts all those who dare to dream, all those who can afford a pair of cleats or can't, all those who just one day dream to live on the highest stage. And that's a big legacy to leave. That's a legacy that every single one of us who play the game, who have played the game, every single one of us who continue to play it now, lives by. And in so many ways has been guided by over the last 70 years.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that he stopped playing in the 70s, and yet his name has been ever present, even in the modern day, many years after he stopped playing. Frank Lampards, I'm interested to hear what you thought when you heard the news today.
I'm devastated, I have to say. When I was told, that he passed away, I was with my wife, and I couldn't avoid, some tears because, well, you have the picture of him and I, and this fantastic time that for me to be introduced to him. He represents everything that I wanted to follow. My father taught me everything. The last time he wore the Brazilian shirt, it was in '71. I was 3 years old, only 3 years old. So I had to my father had to show me all the videos and everything that he had, and see on TV the games that he played and everything. And we talk about somebody being the GOAT of football, and for me there is only one GOAT. It's him. When you won 3 times, the World Cup, when you couldn't be the best player in the world and get the Ballon d'Or because he was playing in Brazil and he was a European, he would have won that title that everybody's looking for. I don't know, 10 times. He was such a fantastic player. It was like a myth. I think Tostao said, if you want to have a little bit of Pele, you have to bring the best of Cristiano Ronaldo and the best of Lionel Messi, and maybe then you will have a little bit of Pele. It says a lot, about what Pele represents to all Brazilians, but the entire world, in fact. Yes, we all knew that it was going bad, and maybe the end was very close. But it's a slap in the face. For me, I was born with listening to Pele's fairy tales, and today I'm mourning like crazy. I'm very sad. I'm very, very sad because that guy, he wasn't only the King Pele, he was the god of football. Simple.
And Frank, you obviously played with some of the game's greats, but this is a player, Pele, that surely when you meet him, even as a top football player, you just can't be anything but starstruck.
He had everything in terms of tools that you needed to get all defenders crazy. And he made, in fact, that number 10 in the shirt so famous, so legendary, because before him, nobody thought about the number 10. If Pele, if Maradona, Neymar now, or so many others, Zidane, won the number 10, is because of him. He was small, but he was jumping like crazy. And that goal that he scored against Italy in the World Cup showed how high he could go. But he was seeing everything. In that same final, you have that pass that he gives, that assist that he gives to Giorgino, which, not even looking at the players, he knew that the player was coming. He was feeling the game. We saw everything. I saw lately a video of him compared to all the players, all the tricks that they do now. The video was showing that Pele was doing it before. He created everything. That's absolutely crazy what that guy was able to do. And don't forget, that's one thing that, because some people say, well, it's another time, yeah, football player were not that good. He didn't have the medical. He didn't have the preparation. Physically, they weren't prepared. You know, the travel that they had to make, they were very long. That guy played for 20 years. 20 years. Brazil didn't win the World Cup in '66 because he was injured. But otherwise, every time he played in a World Cup, he won it. The guy was, he was simply the god of football.
Yeah, the video that Frank's just mentioned has gone viral on Twitter. It's already up to 25 million views. It's Pele did it first, and they're showing all the modern day greats doing all their fancy tricks and skills. And then latter day, we're seeing former Pele doing it all himself. Stuart Robson, we all grew up knowing all about Pele. It feels as though every football fan loves him.
Absolutely. I'm a bit older than Frank, and my first World Cup watching was as a 6-7-year-old, the 1970 World Cup. And as Frank has just said, and as the video will show you, he started doing things that nobody else had seen. He had the shot from the halfway line, which beat the goalkeeper, but not quite the post. He let the ball run across the goalkeeper against Uruguay. You know, the header against Italy, the set-up play for the fullback, Alberto, to come forward and smash it into the corner. He was absolutely brilliant. In English memories, we always talk about the save that Gordon Banks made. Without the header from Pele, Gordon Banks wouldn't have been able to make that save. But I think the thing that everybody loves about Pele, I don't think he was a diver. When he got fouled, he got up and played on. He didn't boast about things. He was a great character as well. And that's why everybody wanted to follow him. He was a brilliant example for every young footballer at the time. Nobody could match what Pele did at that time, but you wanted to. And that's what you aspired to as a young player. He was absolutely superb. And everybody around the world that likes football knows all about what Pele did.
I think one of the things we have to remember, as you watch this video, and how much kinder the game is to goal scorers today, and that's putting it as nicely as I possibly can. Kind in every single way, in terms of the equipment of the day. Try striking a ball from the 60s and early 70s, 40 yards, and some of these guys would know exactly what I'm talking about and the difference between the equipment then, or the balls then, and now. The cleats back then, the weight of them, playing 90 minutes with it, playing 90 minutes with no substitutes. And then the biggest differentiator, I think, was what was allowed on the pitch, what was excused as fair play, would be seen as almost prisonable, right in today's game. So the game has become, and rightly so, has become kinder to goal scorers and star players of today's game. So while you make these comparisons, while you watch this video and try to put into some kind of context how much more difficult it was back then, everything about Pele, everything about what he did on the pitch stood out head and shoulders in a comparative context.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.